I didn't have a name for this one. I don't think I remember which number of game it was. The title will probably give that if I ever remember what it is, and I'll put it in the title. But this game was made to. Well, it was never really made. I never finished the game, but it was supposed to be a more refined version of a previous game that has to do with Omen Mesa Saga. And hopefully it was going to be a lot more fun. It was a lot simpler, but it still involved a lot of the same elements. So we'll start with the character cards because I did a lot more work on these character cards, and that's probably why I didn't finish it. So here I have Kurt, and it says his name up here, and down here it says good, because you can have good characters and you can have evil characters. And in order to actually play the game, you have to pick from the list of good or evil characters. And you could do house rules or whatever and do well, I'll pick from good, you pick from evil, or let's do random and then the other one picks from the other pool. But the reason that you would do something like that, like have a random pick instead of picking your own character, is because everybody has their own speed. Now, Kurt has a speed of 10, but a will of 2. And if you remember the previous game, what speed and will do in games that I design, he does have an evil counterpart, which is his sister, Jopin, who has a speed of 10. And the speeds don't go below 5, but it's very likely that the characters with the low speeds has had a really high will. And will stops them from getting knocked out very easily. So there were 5 characters on each side, or 6? 5? Yeah, so Kurt, on good side, there's Kurt, Masse, Oehe. There's 6. There must be a duplicate of speed here. So we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is not my yeah, 6. Because 10 is part of it. So Kurt, Masse, Oehe, Golu, Kristalla, and Chi. And then on the evil side, there's Apako, Luminaire, so it's the evil version of Luminaire, Shakt, Mo, Jopin, and Defon. Each character kind of has their counter in the series as their card in relation to their speed. So Kurt's counter would be his sister. Oh, sorry, not Kurt's sister, but Azir's sister, Jopin. And then Kristalla's counter would be Shucked, which is a Date Alive. It's a creature from another universe. So they each have 9 speed. Chi's counter with 8 speed would be Luminaire. Oehe's counter with 7 speed would be Apako. Let's see, Golu's counter with 6 speed would be Apako. Mo. Sorry, it's just really hard to see these tiny little faded numbers. Mustay's counter would be Defon, and historically speaking for the series that is true. So it's really, really hard to see these things. And there were also going to be challenges and things that you could do. So you could pick characters. You and a friend could pick like 2 good characters or 2 evil characters and go up against a lot of these challenges. Like Bell Tuntep, Sir Clayton, Cell, Ala, Emperor Gold. It's ALA, by the way, for Ala. Oif, the Luma Destroyer, Indicajid, Teo, Kitiana, King Trunk, Recoil, Android 92, Bushido, and then finally the last and hardest challenge would be Mask, Masque. To get back into the characters, so there are different character cards, just like the original game that this was an improvement on, supposed to be an improvement on, and they are transformations or power-ups. The energy level does go 1 to 10 on the first card, and then 11 to 20 on the next one, 21 to 30, and then 31 to 40, and it would continue on from there if your character could do that. Some characters start out obviously with more cards, and other characters will have to win battles to unlock more cards, but we're going to cover just the basics here. I don't think there was any real change, but you could have a change in the cards once you gained new levels. Yes, oh, okay. So base Kurt has a will of 2, but the highest energy level Kurt has a will of -1, and that reminds me of what will actually does. That is the number that determines how many energy levels you gain per level or per turn. When it is your turn, since he has a will of 2, he gains 2 energy levels. But when he's at his final form, and only at his final form, this one gains 1, but this one will lose 1 energy level on your turn. So he can't hold that form for very long. So here again we have the name, and I was going to get a little insert thing that you could put the character on and sit them on the desk or the table or whatever in front of you, so that who you were playing with could see your character but not your stats. And this card's a little bent. So here you have the character name, and this is their energy level, 1 through 10. You have their speed, 10, will, 2, and then their effect. Kurt's effect is damage taken is halved, damage given is doubled, and I'll cover that here in a little bit, why one card would need to have that. And then for energy and physical, these are the classes that you can choose for selecting which techniques you're going to use. And this is the list, and it's really faded and really old, but those are the things that you can choose to put on your class cards. And if one card had, let's say, class 1 through 4 on energy, but the next card needed less or more or whatever, so they didn't need any class 1s anymore because they're powered up, then they just wouldn't have that class on there. Or if I don't think there was any class 4 that he could use. Yeah, there's one. It's not wise. But the point is that some cards would not have a class 4 or even a class 2 on their first card. So you have your energy class cards, and these are all 4 class cards for Kurt. I'm going to cover the first one because the others are just really, really powerful and ridiculous. He is an elite card in the game. So, this is what it is. It says Kurt Energy and class 1. So it's the name of the character and that it is an energy card and then the class of energy card. What you would do here is, since you have a class 1 energy card, you would have a graphic of your character using energy, and then you would get to select and probably win or add any class 1 energy from the list of class 1 cards. So you've got Purple Comet Attack, Energy Disc, that's a 3-3-2-3-2. Energy Blast, Energy Wave, that's a 2-2-4-4-3-3. Lightning Blast. So there's elementals and other things like that you could do. But when you get them, you add them to the list down here. So here we have Kurt, the name, energy, the class 1. And then you have your first technique. Here it is Energy Wave, and it requires that you have at least 1 energy level to use it. So that's the requirement, which means that you can be at energy level 1 in order to use this, but that's not wise. It deals 1 to 0 damage of energy levels, which means that if your opponent is at energy level 1, it will deal them 0 damage because they can't go under 1, and 0 is the minimum. But if they are at energy level 2, it will deal them 1 damage. So they will go down to 1. And then it costs 1 energy level. And that's why, even though you can use it at energy level 1, you don't want to, because it will knock your character out. You will lose by paying that cost. But you also have other things. So Energy Blast is another one. It requires that you be at energy level 3, but it deals 2 to 1. So it does a minimum of 1 damage. It is a knockout technique, and it costs 1. And then Charge is a pretty normal one. You have to have at least 1 energy level. It brings you up at least 0, but the maximum of 5 energy levels. So you cannot go to your next card. You have to wait for your will to bring you up to the next card in order to use that. And then it costs 0. But that's the energy card. And when I was looking at the physical cards, this is where the game got a lot more interesting. Because I had planned on including a little element called tokens. And the tokens would be like combo tokens. So some of them would say E, or Class 1E probably, or Class 2E. And then some of them would be something like P for punch, or K for kick, or PG for punch guard, or right P for right punch, or right kick, or down kick, or up kick, or left kick, or right kick. Different things like that. Okay, so no, it's just right or normal. Because I didn't have any of those anywhere. Or G for guard. So there's a punch guard and there's a guard. And if you had tokens and a combo technique, you could string these together. You could say, okay, so I'm going to use combo, and I'm going to use these tokens to combo these physical attacks together. So here on Kurt Physical, Class 1, it's a punch card. So again, Kurt Physical, Class 1. He has Palm Hit. He must be at energy level 1 to use it. It does 1 to 0 damage, and it's a punch move. So it's got a little P. So he's got another punch, a punch guard, a right punch, and another punch. The flying punch requires that he be at energy level 5 and does 3 to 0, and it is his right punch. So all of these here do a minimum of 0. They are not knockout techniques. If you want to do a really good combo to knock down your opponent's energy level really fast, you would do a lot of physical attacks, and then you would try to later finish them off with an energy attack. But energy tokens would be the most common so that you could use them the most often. But that's not all. So here is something even more interesting, because you have Class 1, Class 4, and Class 5. And that's because physical attacks all come in their own classes, and there are 6 different physical classes. So Class 1 is a normal punch class. Class 2, I believe, is a normal type of kicking class. So let's see here if I can find... No, sorry. Class 3 is a normal kick. So Class 1 and Class 2, there's version 1 and a version 2. So you have Class 1 normal punching, and Class 2 would be stronger punching type techniques. So it's mostly just using your upper body and your arms. Well, class 3 and class 4 are lower bodies, so you got your normal kicks and then your stronger kicks. And class 5 and 6 are special techniques, which would be the punch guard or the guard techniques mostly. I think one of them included headbutt, which is a punch guard where you block an attack but also deal damage to your opponent. And then you could have dodge as well on one of them. And I think that's what I have here on class 5, which is mostly a punch guard. So he has the double arm guards, which is a guard technique for the upper body, which he needs to be at energy level 10 to use it. And it blocks 5 damage, and it requires a guard token. But then he also has dodge on here, down here, needs to be at energy level 10 in order to dodge, and it subtracts 1 attack and an energy combo, or an enemy combo. So if they did a single attack, it would block that attack in that combo. But if they did a combo and they had a bunch of attacks, then every time you use that, you would have to... every time they did an attack, you would have to use that to block the attack. That's the game. Person with the highest speed goes first. If it's a tie, you flip. You have tokens. You have your cards. This is it. The tokens and this stuff, you would have a meter to help you read where your character's energy was at, and this was your deck for the fight. I think it was going to be a really cool game. I think it could have worked. The only reason that I never played this, so I was also out of high school by the time I was doing this, so I didn't have a chance to introduce it to people that I was around all the time. But also, out of all of these that I had planned to make, yeah, yeah, it was taking a long time. I was really putting a lot into the art, and I kind of didn't want to, especially if I wasn't handing these out to anybody at the time. It's not that the game is broken. I think the game itself is really good and would have worked really well. I never finalized any of the details or the rules or how to play or the events that you'll participate in, what the rewards were, because I never got past creating all the cards. Now, even though the faces of a lot of those are blank, I did actually, I filled in parts of the back of their cards. So, like Apaco here was a complete card. He's one of the evil ones. Speed 7, Will of 1. Send Apaco out of the battle for 1 turn and bring him up 10 energy levels. He has class 1, 2, and 3 on energy, and class 2, 4, and 5 on physical. And he's an evil card. I just never finished it. And I really don't plan on finishing it. It's sort of a novelty to me. It's just something that I have that reminds me that I am capable of making good rule sets and a good design for a game, even if I'm not capable of finishing it. And I don't think it's a good example of types of games that I can finish and play, because I have done that many times. It's just more that I decided to refine the rules and then lost interest in the subject. And that was game number whatever, because pretty soon I'm going to be approaching game number 14. So it's between the last one and game number 14, which I'm not going to talk about. And the game that I'm making these videos for, is number 15. I think the next one could be the most exciting, but also the most disappointing.